Good day everyone. Today we are going to discuss another topic which is also connected with our first part, which is all about the system requirements specification. So the title of our second topic is all about the system requirements analysis. So here we have a learning objective that we need to target upon finishing this video or this discussion. So at the end of this unit, the students will be able to, I forget to put colon, so that at the end of this unit, students will be able to understand the different steps in requirement analysis. I will be discussing a lot of things that are connected with our topic, our main topic, which is all about the system requirements analysis. And I also included different examples in order for us to understand more the different concepts that will be taught today. Okay, so let's start. Here is the presentation of content. Okay, so may I just read the a paragraph that was included here on our file. So requirement analysis is significant and essential activity after requirements gathering. The requirements gathering here, may I just highlight this one. The requirements gathering was explained on the part 1. So if you happen to forget about the requirements gathering, so when we say requirements gathering, this is how you are going to gather some information and you're going to ask your client about the different features that he or she wanted to include on your system. But I'm going to discuss more about this one on the analysis objective, so don't worry. Okay, so may I just repeat? Requirement analysis is significant and essential activity after the requirements gathering. So what we are going to do here is we analyze. Okay, I will just ayan, i-bold ko lang siya to give emphasis to the word. We are going to analyze, and then we are going to refine, and we are going to scrutinize the gathered requirements to make consistent and clear requirements. So everything that we gathered, no, all of the requirements, all of the needs of the client for our system, we are going to analyze them, we're going to refine them and scrutinize them in order to make a consistent and clear requirements. Ayan, hindi naman ibig sabihin na you already gathered all of the information, we stop there. No. You need to analyze it. There should be an analysis. You need to refine. When we say refine kasi, sasalain mo siya. Gaya nung discussion natin doon sa part 1, hindi lahat ng requirements ay quality requirements. So, meron din mga requirements na uunahin mo kasi they are more essential, and there are other requirements na pwede mong huliin kasi hindi naman sila ganon ka-importante. Those are just like an accessory, kumbaga. Okay, so that is that is what the second sentence is all about. And then this activity, referring to the requirement analysis, so this activity reviews all requirement. We have the word review. Ayan, i-review niya as in talagang sasalain niya lahat ng mga requirements and may provide a graphical view. This is a very good a graphical view. Can be in a form of a diagram or can be in a form of any illustration that can that can represent all of the requirements, that can give you a clearer understanding or clearer vision of the requirements to be accomplished. Okay, so here it says that it may provide a graphical view of the entire system. This one also, no, this graphical view, we can also compare it to a prototype, a particular prototype. So we are going to discuss later on more about prototypes. Okay, and then the fourth sentence, it says here that after the completion of the analysis, it is expected the understandability of the project may improve significantly. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you already finish analyzing all of the requirements. There is no room for improvement. No, there is still a room for improvement, and then mahasa yan ng mahasa throughout the process. Okay, so here we may also use the interaction with the customer to clarify points of confusion and to understand which requirements are more important than others. Gaya nung sabi ko kanina, hindi lahat ng mga requirements na nag-gather natin, those are quality requirements. Hindi po. So it supports the idea here na sinabi niya na the customer, no, there should be, we may also use the interaction with customer. May I just highlight this one? Interaction with the customer, because the most important factor here in developing a particular system or in gathering all of the requirements, of course, is with the help of the customer. Sabi niya, interaction with the customer. To what? Para saan? To clarify points. Ayan, clarify points of confusion. Kasi minsan, no, hindi naman lahat ng ating mga clients, hindi naman lahat ng ating mga customer, they are well equipped when it comes to computers, or they are not that well versed kung computers yung pinag-uusapan natin. So, meron pa ding mga confusions. So, in order for that confusions to be clarified, you need to interact with your customer. There should be a two-way process, no? Hindi lang yung iisa, hindi lang po yung developer ang nagwo-work na mag-isa. Kasi, without the help of the customer, without the requirements that being gathered with the help of the customer, the system per se will not be created. Okay, so, other thing, no, that we need to understand is that or that we need to give a point here is to understand which requirements are more important than others. So, I already explained this one because as I've said, hindi lahat ng mga requirements kailangan mong i-accomplish. Hindi lahat ng mga requirements na binibigay kailangan mong ilagay dyan sa system mo. So, there will be a balance also. You should also check, no? You should also weigh kung importante ba yung requirement na yun or just an accessory to the system. So, that is for the introduction of our content. Okay? So, the next topic that I'm going to discuss is all about the analysis objectives. I have here the different objectives that we need to accomplish. I think we have 5 if I'm not mistaken. I just forgot to put a emphasis here. Maglalagay lang tayo ng emphasis dito. Or ibo-bold ko lang siya para mas maintindihan po natin. Okay? So we have different analysis objectives which I will be discussing each one briefly. Okay? So number 1, you need to identify the customer's needs. Okay, this was already being explained on the first part of our topic, but I will just give you a simple and brief explanation with this one in case you forgot or you miss out some points on our first topic. Okay, so it says here on the first bullet, you need to identify the customer's need because, okay, you need to follow hindi pala because dapat yung magiging term natin. Identify customers' needs by data gathering procedures. By pala dapat yung term natin doon. Okay? So, data gathering procedures, how are we going to gather information? How are we going to identify the customer's needs? Okay, so there are different methods or methodology on how to gather data. Ano ba yung mga pwede natin gamitin para mag-gather tayo ng data? Okay, we can use interview, no? Makikipag-usap ka sa client mismo kasi that is the most important or that is the most effective method on how to gather data. Yung makikipag-usap ka mismo doon sa client or doon sa customer ng face-to-face. Kasi kung meron man hindi ka naintindihan doon sa mga requirements, at least nandun yung customer para i-clarify ka kung ano yung gusto nilang ipunto. Same din doon sa communication mo from customer to the developer or doon sa nagde-data gathering kasi baka minsan din may mga alam ka rin na hindi alam ng customer at vice versa na alam ng customer na hindi mo alam. So it is very important to have a two-way communication between the developer and also the customer so that there is an understanding, no? There is a connection between the two parties para hindi magkaroon ng problema later on. Another method other than interview, pwede rin tayong mag-float ng questionnaires kung saan maglalagay sila or ilalagay nila yung mga expectations ng mga customers and to verify also all of the needs, no, and wants of the customers for the particular system to be accomplished or to be built. Data gathering procedures, ano pa yung mga pwede nating gamitin besides the interview, besides the customer questionnaires, using questionnaires, you can also use other data gathering procedures in order for you to identify the customers needs. There are a lot of data gathering procedures that we can use. So, nasa diskarte na rin yan ng developer or nasa diskarte na rin yan ng group na magkare-create ng system kung paano nila kukunin or i-extract sa customer yung mga needs na yon. So, doon sa first part natin, sabi natin meron tayong software requirements specifications. Dito rin siya papasok, no, yung identifying customers' needs. We also need the software requirements specification, which is we call also as requirements document. Please do not forget this one, no. This is the other term for SRS or software requirements specification. So, if you happen to forget about SRS, so it is a formal report, no? May I just repeat this one or reiterate this one? And it is a formal report which acts as a representation, okay? Representation of software that enables the customers to review whether it is according to their requirements. Also, it comprises user requirements for a system as well as detailed specification of the system requirements. So, it is important for the customer to know all of the specifications of the system that you're going to build para hindi sila wonder later on, parang hindi ko naman pinalagay ito sa system ko. Okay, so that is why it is very important na nag-update pa rin kayo sa isa't isa in order for them to be educated or in order for them to be updated with the things that nilalagay nyo doon sa system. Sabi niya dito, it enables the system to review whether the SRS is according to their requirements. Ayan, so itong natin, no, SRS or the requirements document, dito nila makikita or dito makikita ng client whether lahat ng mga requirements na binigay niya, lahat ng mga specifications or yung mga features na gusto niyang mangyari doon sa system ay na sa requirements document natin. Okay, so kung wala yung mga iba, pwede niyang i-supplement lahat yon. Okay, so that is the first step or first objective in the analysis objectives. Okay, so the first part is to identify the customer's needs. Now, let's proceed to number 2. Okay, this one is very important, no? So, evaluate system for feasibility. What do we mean by feasibility ba? Siguro naririnig nyo na yung term na feasibility. So, when we say feasibility, it is the state or degree of being able or being easily or conveniently done. Okay, so that is the term or the definition of feasibility. To understand this better, ito daw yung mga questions na sinasagot ng feasibility, nung term na feasibility. Yan, para mas maintindihan po natin. Example ng question na yan, is it possible, no? Is it possible to build a particular system? Another one, can we do it? Ayan. Ayan, can we do it? And then, another question that can be connected with the word feasibility. Can we finish it? Ayan, yan yung mga questions na very particular sa feasibility. And then, are there other factors that will affect our work? Ayan po yung mga questions na kailangang tanungin pag feasibility po ang pinag-uusapan natin. Okay? So, when we say feasibility study, I will just highlight this one. Okay, para mas maintindihan natin itong sinasabi niya to evaluate system for feasibility. A feasibility study analyzes the viability of a project to determine whether the project or venture is likely to succeed. Kung yung system ba ay feasible, kung yung system ba ay possible. Okay, so baka naman magpapagawa sila ng system na hindi naman palang posibleng gawin. Or nagpagawa sila ng system na hindi pala kahit isang tao or yung pinakamagaling na programmer ay hindi nila maipapatayo. So, we need this feasibility study. That is why it's very important, lagi kong inuulit to, na there should be a communication between the developer or the group no, na magde-develop ng system and the customer. Kasi we need to evaluate whether feasible ba yung system natin, possible ba, or magagawa ba natin yung system na yon. Kasi minsan baka maglalagay sila ng mga features or nag-expect sila ng mga features na napaka-advanced, hindi naman pala siya feasible. Hindi naman pala possible yun na magawa ng isang programmer. So that is why feasibility study is very important. Sabi niya dito, as part of the feasibility study, project managers must determine whether they have, ito yung mga factors na kailangan nating malaman sa feasibility study, no? If they have first, enough people. Of course, manpower yan. Kailangan natin ng manpower in order to create or in order to build a particular system. A programmer himself cannot build a system without kung walang mga assistants also na gagawa. For example, sa paggawa ng ating system, kailangan mo ng programmer, kailangan mo rin ng designer, kailangan mo rin ng gagawa ng documentation mo, and then yung iba naman magde-data gathering sila. So you need different people in order to function well. Ayan, if you have enough people, ito, napaka-importante, financial resources. Of course, you cannot really move, no? Hindi ka makakausad without the help of course, of financial resources, ng pera. Kailangan mo ng pera kasi ang mga programmers or yung mga group of people na nagre-create ng system, of course, kailangan rin nila ng fund, kailangan nila ng reward in order for them to be supported. Kasi there are also other budgetary requirements that we need to follow. Ano ba tong budgetary requirements na to? Itong mga budgetary requirements natin, for example, you need expenses for the internet connection, you need financial resources for the different hardware components, just like printer, no, yung mga printer natin or other materials na pwede natin gamitin, just like a scanner, kung ang system mo ay point of sale, mga ganon. Okay, so you need financial resources. That is one of the most important resources or the things that we need to consider in order for us to have a perfect not perfect kasi wala pa lang perfect na system. In order for us to have a good system, no? Para makapag-build tayo ng good system, we need enough people and financial resources, and of course, this one, let us not forget the appropriate technology. Bakit appropriate technology? Okay, that is why we have two requirements, no? Software requirements and then the hardware requirements. Yung software requirements natin are those programming languages na pwede natin gamitin, yung mga system software and application software na gagamitin natin in order to build a particular system. At yung hardware requirements natin ay yun yung mga devices, equipments na pwede natin gamitin in order to build a good system. For example, if we are going to create a record-keeping system, of course, you need a laptop or you need a computer in order for you to create or in order for you to install later on yung system na na-build mo. For example point of sale yung system na i-build mo. So, yung point of sale na yan, yung parang sa mga groceries, kung saan sales and inventory system, sabihin na lang natin ganon, na mayroong point of sale. So, for example, bibili ka sa grocery and then you're going to bumili ka ng chichirya and then you want to know the price of that particular product. So, ang gagawin mo, isuswipe mo lang siya sa scanner. So, those are also examples of hardware components or hardware requirements na dapat appropriate din doon sa system na gagamitin mo. Huwag kang maglagay ng mga components, hardware components na hindi naman dapat kailangan. So, dapat appropriate po yung technology na gagamitin natin. So, yun yung mga other things na kailangan nating i-determine, no? In order for us to have a good system para makapag-build tayo ng system. Pag okay na tong tatlong ito, okay na rin, you can pursue with the development of the system. Okay, so that is for the number 2. That is for number 2, which is to evaluate system for feasibility. So I repeat, it answers the question, is it possible? Can we do it? Can we finish it? Or are there other factors that will affect our work? Yan. Para mas maintindihan na din natin, magbibigay din ako ng isang particular example. So, example, no, magpapatayo ang SM ng isang mall. And then, meron silang prospect na location. Bago pa makapagpatayo ang SM ng ating mall, no, bago pa sila makapagpatayo, nag-gather na sila yan ng information, gaya ng feasibility study. Chine-check nila lahat ng mga factors na pwedeng mangyari. For example, yung location na ba yun ay laging nababaha? Kung yung location na ba yun ay developmental or yung paligid niya ba maraming mga houses? Yung location na ba yun maraming mga tao ang dumadaan? Lahat ng yun ay nakalapaloob doon sa feasibility study nila. Yan, in order for them to have a perfect location sa kanilang business, nagkakaroon ng feasibility study para masagutan, para makita nila kung perfect ba yung location na yon. Okay, so that is for the number 2, evaluate system for feasibility. Okay, so let's proceed to number 3 naman. Okay, this is also in connection with the number 2 na evaluate system for feasibility. So we need to perform 3 analysis. Ayan. We have economic, technical, and behavioral analysis. But these are the 3 types of feasibility study that I am going to discuss. Okay, ito yung economic, technical, and behavioral. So we need to perform these 3. I will also show you later on an example of these 3 feasibility study or types of feasibility study, no? Okay, so let's start with the first one, which is the economic feasibility. Ano nga ba itong tinatawag na economic feasibility? I'm going to explain it briefly. So, economic feasibility is also known as cost-benefit analysis. We have the term cost-benefit analysis. Para saan kaya itong economic feasibility na to? So, itong economic feasibility na to, it is to determine the benefits and savings that are expected from a candidate system and compare them with cost. Of course, if you are going to build a particular system, see to it that there is a return of investment. Okay, we have the ROI or return of investment. Ayan, you are going to invest with something in order for you to have a return also. Ayan, return ng inyong investment. For example, magbebenta ka ng isang bagay. Of course, hindi ka namang magbebenta para lang mabalik lang sa'yo yung puhunan mo. Pero, magbebenta ka para magkaroon ka rin ng tubo. Ganun po yung tinatawag nating economic feasibility. There should be a return of investment. Kasi sabi niya dito, other term is cost-benefit analysis. We have 2 terms that we need to consider here. Yung cost niya, kung magkano ba yung system na yan at ano yung magiging benefit niya later on kung nag-invest ako sa pag-create ng system na to. Okay, yan po yung economic feasibility natin. Sabi niya dito, doon sa 3rd bullet niya, if benefits outweigh costs, then the decision is made to design and implement the system. Okay, so kung mas mataas daw yung benefits kesa yung cost natin, or kung para isimple natin kung simple explanation, kung mas mataas daw yung tubo kesa doon sa puhunan mo, or kung may malaking tubo from that particular puhunan, then kailangan na natin siyang i-design at i-implement later on. Kung yun ang case, so kailangan natin ng economic feasibility para lang malaman natin kung meron bang return of investment doon sa i-build nating system. May benefit ba kaya? Meron ba kaya tayong makukuha doon sa pag-i-invest natin ng system? Okay, so yun yung economic feasibility. Okay, number 2 or letter B is technical feasibility. Ano naman kaya ito? Okay, so the first bullet says, it checks whether the existing computer system Ayan, existing computer system supports the candidate system or not, or up to what extent it supports. So, here, sabi niya existing computer system. Ano ba yung existing computer system? Mostly kasi nang nagpapagawa ng kanilang mga system ay gumagamit ng manual system. Ano yung manual system na sinasabi? Yung manual system, yun po yung manually for example, naglalagay lang sila or nagre-record lang sila sa kanilang logbook. Ayan, sinusulat lang nila yung mga processes nila, yung mga transactions nila. Yun po ang tinatawag natin na manual system. Yun yung usually na nangyayari na existing computer system po natin. Okay? So, i-check po ng technical feasibility kung yung manual system or yung dati ng system na ginagamit nila ay kung hanggang kailan niya sinusuporta yung business or yung organization mo. I-check mo muna, baka naman mas maganda pa yung manual system kesa doon sa ide-develop mong system. It will be useless. Hindi rin yun magagamit ng ating mga clients. Meron kasi mga ganun, lalo na pag nag-propose ang mga students namin ng mga system na mas maganda pa nga yung manual system nila kesa doon sa ipinopropose nilang system. May mga times or may mga pagkakataon na ganun ang nangyayari. So, me as a client, alangan naman mag-i-invest pa ako, na bibili pa ako ng mga gamit, ng mga computers or mga hardware components kung mas maganda naman pala yung existing system ko or yung manual system ko, di ba? Okay, so we need the technical feasibility para malaman natin later on kung ano yung mga features na pwede nating ilagay doon sa ating ide-develop na system. Kasi mas maganda na yung ipropose mong system, yung ide-develop mong system ay maungusan niya kung ano yung existing system. Okay? So, sabi niya here, it basically centers around, of course, the hardware and software. Ayan. So, for example, mag-i-invest naman yung customer doon sa system. Of course, kailangan niya ring magbayad sa gagamitin ninyong hardware components and software components, lalo na yung pag-i-install natin ng mga system software or pag-i-install natin ng mga application software na magagamit doon sa ide-develop natin system. So, for example daw, the current computer is operating at 77% capacity. This is just an example, no? For example, no, yung isang organization, meron na silang existing system. At yung computer daw ay cooperating with 77% capacity and running another application can overload the system, so need new system. So, yung dati na daw system nung isang business, for example, nung isang business natin, 77% capacity na siya. So kung 100%, you still need or meron pang konting natitira kasi 77% capacity lang po siya. And running another application can overload the system. So kung for example, no, sa isang computer, kung magi-install ka pa ng isang application, magka-crash na or maglalag na yung computer. So, ang kailangan ng isang client ay new system. Kailangan din nating i-consider lahat ng mga hardware and software factors niyan. So, yun nga yung rason kung bakit sila nagpapagawa para mas mapabilis yung kanilang proseso. Kung ang kanilang existing system naman ay napakabagal or kulang na lang yung storage niya, of course, kailangan nila ng bagong system. Doon na tayo papasok. Okay, so that is the technical feasibility. Okay, the next one is the behavioral feasibility. Ano naman kaya ito? For example, dito sa first bullet niya, sabi niya, it is an estimate should be made of how strong, ayan, we have the word how strong a reaction the user staff is likely to have towards the development of a computerized system. So, hindi lang naman yung manager siguro ang gagamit doon sa system. Meron siyang staff. So, titignan mo rin kung paano yung reaction ng mga staff na gagamit. Titignan mo rin yung mga age gap ng mga employees na gagamit ng system. Kasi minsan din, meron ding factors yung mga tao na nakapaligid doon sa or yung mga tao na gagamit doon sa system. For example, matanda na yung gagamit ng system. So, hindi niya rin gagamitin later on. So, ano yung magiging reaction niya? Mahirap yan. Hindi ko alam gamitin yan kasi matanda na ako. At mas nasanay na rin ako dito sa existing system, dito sa manual system, kaya hindi ko nagagamitin yan. May mga possibility po yun na ganun ang mangyari at magiging useless din po yung pag-create nyo or pag-develop nyo ng system. Useless na rin po yung feasibility study natin at useless na rin po yung wala na rin pong return of investment kasi walang gagamit, sayang lang yung mga materials or hardware components and software components na binili natin para lang doon sa system. So that is the behavioral feasibility. You need to have a strong or you need to have an estimate, okay, in order for you to know how strong a reaction the user staff is likely to have towards the development of a computerized system. Gusto ba kaya nila or mas convenient para sa kanila yung manual system? So, kailangan mong malaman yon. The second bullet says that it is common knowledge that computer installation have something to do with turnover, transfer, and changes in employee job status. Ayan. Yung mga employees din na pwedeng gumamit doon sa system, baka magre-resign or yung job status nila, hindi pa sila permanent or pwedeng casual lang sila, part-time pa lang sila. Kaya, kung ititrain mo yung mga taong yon doon sa paggamit ng system, there will be a problem later on kung aalis sila doon. Okay, so you need also to know the different factors under the behavioral feasibility. Okay, so those are the three types, no? Three types of feasibility study. We have the economic, we have the technical, and we also have the behavioral. So now, I'm going to show you an example of the three. No? So, example, isang case lang ito, no? This is the feasibility study for a record management system of CSU Piat Dairy Project. This is just an example. Ito yung title niya. Record Management System of CSU Piat Dairy Project. Okay, so we have three here, no? We have four: economical feasibility, we have technical, and behavioral feasibility. I am going to read each one of them in order for us to have a clearer understanding kung ano nga bang pagkakaiba nila pag tayo na yung gumawa ng mga feasibility na to. Okay, ulitin ko lang, ang ating system ay Record Management System of CSU Piat Dairy Project. Okay, so yung economical feasibility niya, sabi niya dito, kasi parang proposal, pagpalagay nating proposal pa lang yung system ninyo. Okay, so the proposed record management system is perceived to be economically beneficial. Ayan, meron siyang term na perceived. Ayan, nakita daw na maganda or beneficial yung proposal natin for the benefactor. Ano tong benefactor dito? The benefactor is the owner or kung sino yung mabe-benefit doon sa i-develop na system. Okay, so the proposed record management system is perceived to be economically beneficial for the benefactor. Cagayan State University, Piat Campus. Ito po yung benefactor po natin. Because not only that, it will give an organized output. Ayan, dito na papasok yung mga benefits, no? To support yung sinabi niya na economically beneficial daw yung system na ipropose natin. Okay, that it will give an organized output, but also it helps, ayan, it helps in reducing the cost of materials. Ayan, very important ito, no? Kailangan, of course, ng reduction or there should be a ma-reduce dapat yung mga cost ng mga materials na bibilhin mo para sa iyong business. Okay? So, it helps in reducing the cost of materials to be used in the management of data. Yan. Nagbigay siya ng emphasis sa term na in the management of data on the dairy project. So, yan, sinasabi na niya yung mga different benefits or economical benefits ng develop ng system na to. Also, the materials that will be used for the proposed system will be a great investment. Ayan, napakaganda nung term na investment nilagay dyan. Okay, so the materials that will be used for the proposed system will be a great investment. Lagyan natin ng emphasis yan. Great investment because, bakit kaya? It supports a long-term usage basis. Ayan, magagamit mo ng ilang years yung system, kaya you need to consider this proposal. Yun yung gusto niyang sabihin dito. And then, it has also been agreed by the employees that the records, ayan, i-edit ko lang to, that the records management system will be of great help to minimize the use of supplies, thus it outweighs the savings over the costs. Then, the decision should be made to implement the system. Napakaganda nung sabi niya. Kasi, dito sa economical feasibility, sinabi niya yung mga benefits, no, na pwedeng ma-acquire sa pagpropose or sa pagde-develop ng record management system para sa CSUP at dairy project. Sabi niya, meron din daw agreement sa mga employees na yung records management system ay napakagandang tulong para mapakonti yung mga supply. Ayan, supply na mabibili. And ito yung pinaka-point ng economical feasibility study. It outweighs savings over the cost. So, mas madami ka daw ma-save na pera kesa ma-i-spend. Yan po yung sabi niya. So, then, the decision should be made to implement the system. Yan. So, that is an example of an economical feasibility. Okay? So, now, let's proceed naman sa technical feasibility. Sabi niya dito sa technical feasibility, the existing system, ayan na, which is the manual system. Ito yung example ko kanina. Ito daw yung existing system nila, manual system. Okay, i-compare niya ngayon kung ano yung mas maganda later. Okay, so the existing system, which is the manual system, supports the proposed system. Since every detail, sabi niya, bakit kaya every detail of the current system was translated and automatic. Ayan, sinabi na niya na mas maganda daw yung proposed system natin or yung ipropose natin na system kasi lahat daw ng mga details na nandito sa manual system ay na-translate na at pwedeng gawing automatic or i-automate na siya para saan or para ano? For better. Ayan na yung mga words na pwede nating ilagay. For better, faster, and more reliable. Yan, napakaganda ng mga terms na ginamit dito. More reliable and organized management data. See, doon pa lang sa first sentence niya, nasabi niya na lahat yung mga benefits na pwedeng ma-acquire nung agency or nung organization pag magbi-build sila nung proposed system or i-adapt nila yung proposed system. Kasi nga sabi niya, yung manual system, translate na into computerized system, in-automate nila mas maganda pa, mas mabilis pa, mas reliable, at mas organized yung pagmamanage ng data. Okay, so the next sentence, it says here that the hardware peripherals used like the monitor, ayan na yung mga hardware components niya. Ito, monitor, we have the monitor, we have the keyboard, ayan, we have the mouse, we have the, ayan pa, minimum of 250 hard disk drive, or yung ngayon, for example, yung bago na ngayon, we can make use of 1 terabyte yan. For example, no, 1 terabyte na hard disk or HDD, yan, pwede rin ganyan. And printer for printing reports. Pero sabi niya, open and close parenthesis optional. Dito rin sa technical feasibility, nilagay niya rin lahat ng mga hardware components na gagamitin. Sabi niya, para saan kaya itong mga hardware peripherals or hardware components? Okay, sabi niya dito, it will be a good investment. Yan, nandyan na naman yung term natin na investment. Doon sa economical feasibility, sabi niya kanina, great investment. Ayan. Nandito yung term na great investment. Oh, ayan. Great investment daw yung system. Dito naman sa isa, good investment pa rin siya. Ayan. So, pag bumili ka daw ng mga hardware components para sa system, it will be a good investment when it comes to management of data and important information of an organization. Of course, if you have an important information or an important report na kailangan mong i-save or kailangan mong i-store, ayan, kailangan mong i-manage yung mga data na yon kasi importante nga sila. So, by using these hardware components, pwede mo siyang i-save at by using this proposed system, pwede mong i-store, pwede mong i-save yung mga data na yon for future use later on. If you're going to present all of your reports later on, of course, you need the system in order for you to acquire those data nang walang kaproblema. Okay, so next, and the software to be used is, of course, user-friendly. Ano bang ibig sabihin pag sinabi nating user-friendly? Pag sinabi nating user-friendly po, yung lahat ng mga age ay pwede nilang gamitin yon, mabilis lang magamit or madali lang siyang gamitin. Yan po yung user-friendly. Wala nang complications or hindi po complicated yung paggamit ng software na yon. So that is why the employee in charge will not have difficulty in using it. Yan na yung pinaka-importante, yung hindi na tayo mahirapan. Yan, i-translate mo na nga from manual into computerized or manual to automatic. So dapat, yung system na yon, it will not give difficulty doon sa employee na gagamit. Okay? The current system doesn't ensure 100% reliability. Ayan, sabi niya, hindi daw ma-ensure na reliable 100% yung mga report na iproproduce kasi dahil sa redundancy of records. Yan yung mga problems daw na na-encounter. There is a redundancy of records and of course, the possible loss of data from the past or up to the present. Yan ang pinaka isa sa mga main na problem pag ganyan ang nangyari, yung redundant or paulit-ulit yung mga records mo or nawawala na yung mga records mo or yung mga important na data mo from the past. For example, gusto ng superior mo or kung gusto ng manager na natignan yung mga reports nila or yung reports niya 2 years ago at wala kang maipakita na record, that will be a problem. Okay? So, kino-compare niya dito kung ano yung mga problems na nangyayari pag yung current system or yung manual system ang ginagamit. So, that is why it is perceived that the proposed system should be implemented since it ensures 98% of total effectiveness and functionality. Tignan nyo to, 98% lang po yung binigay niya kasi of course, there will also be I cannot say that it's a problem. Sasabihin na lang natin na hindi lahat or there is no perfect system. There will always be a room for improvement. Kaya nga meron tayong version 1, version 2, version 3 kasi ina-upgrade or ina-update. Gaya nyo, pag nag-a-update kayo ng mga games sa mga phones nyo, of course, i-reinstall mo siya ulit, 'di ba? So that is also the reason why 98% lang yung nilagay nilang total effectiveness and functionality of the proposed system. Pero considering the number, napakalaki na niyan. Okay, so napakaganda na niyan. Compare naman doon sa manual system natin. So that is under the technical feasibility. And lastly, we have the behavioral feasibility. Okay, so the researcher yung term na ginamit dito. Okay, so the researcher conducted data gathering. Ayan yung pinaka-importante no, na first step natin is data gathering. Using a feasibility study questionnaire. At ano yung data gathering methodology na sinasabi ko kanina. It's either you make use of interview or pwede tayong gumamit ng questionnaire na kung saan yung mga participants ang mag-fill up noon para malaman natin yung mga requirements or yung mga needs nila. Okay? So, the researcher conducted data gathering using a feasibility study questionnaire to the employees of Cagayan State University, Piat Campus. So, bakit kay employees of Cagayan State University, Piat Campus? Kasi sila yung mabe-benefit doon sa doon sa system na i-develop natin later on. Ito. And 98% of the respondents agreed that the candidate system should be implemented. Ayan, 98% pa din yung ano niya, yung percentage yan. Yan, depende doon sa nag-gather nating information or nag-gather natin na data, ha? Hindi yung naglalagay-lagay lang tayo. This is also from the questionnaire or the result of the questionnaire based on the data gathering that we conducted. Ayan. So, hindi lang dapat natin nilalagay kung ano-anong number, magbe-base tayo doon sa data gathering procedures po natin. Yan, sabi nga, and 98% of the respondents agreed. Ayan, so nasaan yung 2%? Siguro yung 2% nag-disagree sila kasi para sa kanila mas maganda daw yung manual system. Pwedeng ganun yung possibility. Okay, so they agreed that the candidate system or yung proposed system natin should be implemented. Ayan. So this is based from study, ha, hindi lang tayo naglalagay-lagay ng mga percentage dito. So the respondents also shared their experiences. This is one of the most important thing, no? You need to know their experiences in using the manual system. And their experiences in using the manual system through interview ito. Pwede nating malaman through interview ito kasi pwede nilang i-share yung mga past experiences nila, ano yung mga naging problema nila, ano yung mga naging issue nila nung ginagamit nila yung manual system. And express their opinion. Of course, you also need the opinion of those employees na gumagamit ng manual system para kung meron man tayo nakaligtaan ng mga requirements or meron man tayo nakaligtaan ng mga features, pwede nating include later on. So sabi niya, and express their opinion on what will the proposed system could enhance or make better in their organization. So, the proposed system was also ranked as in the philanthropic priorities as their highest priority. Yan, napakaganda kasi kailangan na dapat yung proposed system na yon for them to have an organized record kasi yun talaga yung pinaka-importante, yung makakapag-produce tayo ng organized na record. So dapat daw nasa highest priority yung pag-develop at pag-implement ng system na yon. Sabi niya, that is why it was concluded that the implementation of the system should be considered, naglagay siya ng as soon as possible. Okay? So that is for the behavioral feasibility. So, if you're going to compare the three, there are a lot of differences. Dito sa economical feasibility, return of investment ang sinasabi niya dito. Dito naman sa technical feasibility, kung ano yung mga hardware and software components na pwede nating bilhin at kung ano ang magiging benefit niyan sa organization or sa business mo later on. And then dito naman sa behavioral feasibility, mas nagfo-focus siya doon sa data gathering at kung ano ang magiging benefit or kung ano yung magiging response ng mga respondents mo doon sa i-develop mong system at i-implement mong system kung ito man ay na-approve later. Okay, so that is the differences. So I hope we understood yung mga differences niya. Okay, so number 3, dito sabi niya, number 3 under the ayan, under the analysis objective, I think it's not number 3, it's number 4. Ayan, it's number 4, nasa number 4 na tayo. Okay, number 4 naman, sabi niya dito, allocate functions to system elements. So, ano ba itong sinasabi niya na allocate functions? So, function and allocation, ayan, i-bold ko lang siya. The other term for function allocation is also called the task allocation. Ano naman kaya ito? So, function allocation is a classic human factors method for deciding. Ayan, deciding, meron tayong term na deciding whether a particular function, ayan, for the past, yung past na topic, meron tayong non-functional at functional na requirements. So, you already knew the differences of the two. So, ito yung sinasabi niya. Particular function will be accomplished by a person, a technology, or some mix of person and technology. So, you need to allocate the functions. Pag sinabi kasi nating allocate, you need to distribute the different functions. Ito ba, kung ano ba yung magiging ano yung i-accomplish ng mga stakeholders. Ayan, for example, ano yung gagawin ng programmer mo, anong gagawin ng designer mo, sino yung gagawa doon sa documentation. You need to allocate, you need to distribute the different tasks para magkaroon ka ng task distribution or job distribution. You need to have a job distribution para maging organize yung flow ng pag-develop ng system ninyo. Para pag may hahanapin ka or meron kang i-modify later on, alam mo kung sino yung mga different people na i-approach kasi meron silang different tasks na nakatoka sa kanila. And then, of course, yung mga kailangan mong i-accomplish na pwede mong ilagay doon sa hardware or software component natin or some mix of person and technology. Okay, so that is the number 4, allocate function to system elements. And then we have number 5. Okay, number 5 naman is to establish schedule and constraints. Of course, if you're going to develop a particular system for your organization, meron tayong tinatawag na deadline. Yung mga requirements nyo nga or yung mga activities nyo nga may deadline eh. Paano pa kaya yun, diba? Hindi naman pwedeng kung kailan mo matapos. Hindi dapat ganon. Meron dapat pina-follow na schedule para merong target schedule or target na deadline para hindi naman ganun katagal yung pag-recreate ng system kasi baka mag-close na yung business, hindi nyo pa nagawa yung system natin. Okay, so a schedule constraint is a limitation placed on a project schedule that affects the start or end date of an activity. So I will be showing you later on an example of a schedule constraints. For example, no, a constraint date can be used to restrict the start of an activity to occur no earlier than a specific or specified date rather than allowing the dates to be determined by the planning process. Okay, so let us also understand that we have a quarter distribution in a year. Ganito yung natin, yung scheduling natin, yung schedule constraint natin, ayan. So, for example, sa quarter 1, we have the months January, February, and March. And then quarter 2, we have April, May, and June. Quarter 3, we have July, August, and September. And quarter 4, we have October, November, and of course, December. Yan po yung distribution niya. So, this is an example of a schedule. Okay? So, doon sa left side niya, nandito yung mga activities na kailangan mong i-follow. At itong mga nakalagay ng orange dito or naka-highlight ng mga orange dito, ito po yung mga length nung time na i-accomplish natin yung different tasks na nandito sa left side. And yung mga nasa taas naman, yun yung mga labels ng mga date natin. So, ulitin ko lang po ha, meron tayong different quarters. We have quarter 1, quarter 2, and quarter 3, and quarter 4. Ito po yung distribution ng mga dates niya. Okay, so, for example, no, I will just maximize this one. Okay, so the first task that we're going to do is of course the data gathering. Sabi niya it will start at October 2021 to November 2021. So, October to November 2021 is under the quarter 4. Yan, mag-i-start daw tayo sa quarter 4. And then, yung data analysis, mag-i-start din sa quarter 4 kasi nilagay niya dito yung December. And then, matatapos siya ng January 2022. So, mako-cover niya yung quarter 1. Okay, so maglagay lang tayo dito. So, quarter 4. And then, November is quarter 4 also. Ayan, quarter 4. December is also quarter 4. And then, January is quarter 1. Okay, so, ganun lang yung pag-identify ng different quarters. So, ayan, meron naman tayong basis dito sa taas. So, yung data gathering daw is from October 2021 to November 2021. Okay, next is data analysis. After gathering all of the necessary data or after knowing all of the needs, yan, i-analyze na natin yung nag-gather natin na data. So, the analysis will also take place for 2 months, and December and January 2022. And then, after the analysis, of course, you need to interpret the data that being analyzed. We also need 2 months for that. We have February 2022, and March 2022. And then of course, after the data interpretation, pwede na tayong mag-develop ng ating system. As you can see, mas mahaba yung time ng system development. Of course, kasi yung process ng pagde-develop ng ating system ay hindi ganon kadali. Yung pagde-develop ng system ay maraming proseso. Kailangan mo ng prototype, kailangan mo ng every now and then, i-debug mo or may mga features kang i-add, ganon. Okay, so, mas mahaba yung time niya doon sa system development. As you can see, magi-start siya ng April 22 up to November April 2022 to November 2022. Okay, mantakin yung 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yan, 8 months of system development. Kasi nga hindi naman ganun kadali ang pag-create ng system. Okay? Next one, after system development, ready na tayo for testing. As you can see, 1 month lang or 1 month lang yung testing natin. It will take place on December 2022. Ayan, 1 month lang siya na ite-test. So, kung may mga gusto man tayong features na ilagay later on or kung hindi man working yung mga other features niya, pwede nating i-debug dito. And lastly, we have the final presentation of the output and then the implementation. Ayan, dito 1 month na siya. Under siya ng January 2023. So, nag-start tayo dito sa 2021, October 2021 to January 23. I think this is 1 year and 4 months. Ayan. So, yung pag-develop ng system at hanggang sa pag-implement ng ating system, it took 1 year and 4 months. So, that is what we call a schedule. Ayan yung tinatawag nating schedule constraint. Sino ba ang mag-create ng ating schedule? This is a joint effort between the customer and of course the developer. Kasi yung developer naman ang nakakaalam kung gaano talaga katagal or gaano kahirap yung system na i-develop. Kaya kailangan pa niya ng time. So, there should be an effort between the customer and the developer para magkasundo sila doon sa schedule na ma-implement or matatapos yung system. Ayan, para hindi magkaroon ng problema later on. At para mas organized din yung activity na gagawin. Okay? And lastly, I think this is number 6. Ayan, nagkakaproblema ako sa numbering ko. Of course, you need to create system definitions wherein itong system definition activities are conducted to create and describe in detail a system of interest to satisfy an identified need. So, the activities are grouped and described as generic processes. Ano kaya itong mga generic processes na to? So, it requires system requirements definition, and then system architecture definition, and then system design definition, and system analysis. Ayan. So, dapat clear po, no? You have to set a clear or you're going to create system definitions which itong mga hinighlight ko, ito dapat yung mga bagay na kailangan nating i-check or kailangan nating i-create. Itong system requirements definition, yung magiging architecture ng system mo, at yung magiging design ng system mo, at kung paano mo i-analyze later on yung system mo. Okay, so those are the objectives, no, of our, let's just go back. Ayan, the analysis objective. So, we have 6, no? Analysis objectives: identify customers' needs, evaluate system for feasibility, perform economic technical analysis and behavioral analysis under the 3 types of feasibility. And then, we also have allocate functions to system elements, and we also have the establish schedule and constraints. And lastly, we have to create system definitions. Okay, so I hope we understood the following analysis objectives. Okay, now let's proceed with the steps of requirement analysis. So we have 4. I will just explain them briefly. That was our intended learning outcome, no? In order for us to know the different steps of requirement analysis. So we have 4 here. Number 1 is to draw the context diagram. Next is develop prototypes. Open and close parenthesis. This is optional. And then model the requirements. And then lastly, we have finalizing the requirements. Okay, so let's start with the drawing of the context diagram. So, ano nga ba itong tinatawag na context diagram po? So, itong context diagram is a simple model that defines, ayan na, maglalagay lang tayo ng highlight, defines the boundaries and interfaces of the proposed system with the external world. Ayan. In short, these are the things that that we need to consider under input, process, and output. So it identifies the entities outside the proposed system that interact with the system. Gaya ng sabi ko, input, process, output, kung ano yung papasok sa system, paano nila ipaprocess, at kung ano yung magiging output ng system natin. So the context diagram of student result management system is given below. Okay, so this is an example of a context diagram. As you can see, we have different labels here, and then we also have arrows na papasok dito sa circle natin, and then meron din tayong arrows na lalabas doon sa or magpo-point out doon sa system natin. Yung system natin dito na example is the Student Result Management System. Gaya ng sabi ko, yung context diagram natin is also somewhat the same with the input, process, output. As you can see, the arrows here, the 3 arrows here, pinopoint niya papasok doon sa circle, which includes the Student Result Management System. So, the first one here, meron tayong term na administrator. Of course, the administrator will be the one to manipulate, will be the one to use the particular system. So, yung arrow niya ay papasok. Okay? Yung administrator natin, siya yung mag-i-input ng mga information, magma-manage or magma-maintain ng ating system. Okay, the other one, sabi niya, ito, meron tayong term dito, subject information entry. Ayan, gaya ng sabi ko, yung administrator, siya yung, for example, mag-a-add ng users, ayan, magme-maintain ng mga transactions, lahat ng mga data, magpo-produce ng mga report. Kaya sabi niya, subject information entry, meron tayong word na entry, i-input niya yan, no, doon sa system. We also have the student information entry. Since student result management ito, kailangan natin ng student information. Kasi, yun yung magiging basis natin or yun yung magiging platform natin. Yun yung student information, yun yung ipaprocess ngayon ng system na student result management. And the other one is marks entry operator or marks entry. So, yun yung mga inputs, okay, na ilalagay natin dito sa system natin. And dito sa baba, nandyan naman yung mga outputs natin or yung magiging product or end product ng ating system. So, number 1, sabi niya dito, is student information reports generated. So, yung report na sinasabi dito, ito yung ipiprint natin. Ito yung mga organized na data, yung na-process na ng system natin. Siya yung ilalabas niya ngayon. Ang tawag dyan ay report. Ayan. So, i-generate niya ngayon yung mga student information reports, kaya yung arrow niya ay palabas kasi maglalabas na siya ng output. And then, we also have the mark sheet generated. Okay, for example, ng mga mark sheet natin, nandyan yung mga grade sheets natin. Yan, pwede yun yung mga ilalabas ng system natin. And lastly, we have the student performance reports generated. Lahat itong tatlong ito, these are the outputs na ine-expect na ilabas ng ating student information. So, yung nasa taas, these are input, ipaprocess ngayon ng system, and then ilalabas na yung output or yung intended na output natin. So, that is under the context diagram. Okay, the second one naman, ayan, so development of a prototype. Pero, hindi siya mandatory. This is just an optional. Kasi, pag gumawa ka kasi ng prototype, it requires more time para, and then, it consumes time and effort. Kaya nilagay niya optional. So, you can create or you can develop a prototype or not. But either way, I'm going to explain itong number 2. Sabi niya, one effective way to find out what the customer wants is to construct a prototype. Okay, a prototype, something that looks and preferably acts as part of the system they say they want. Okay, itong prototype na ito, this is just a model or a representation para mas maintindihan ng customer kung ano yung itsura ng system na ide-develop. So we can use their feedback, ayan, to modify the prototype. Highlight lang natin. We can use their feedback to modify the prototype until the customer is satisfied continuously. Of course naman, that is the main goal, no? Kailangan ma-satisfy natin yung expectation ng ating customer. Kasi of course, kung ayaw niya yung system, hindi mo na-satisfy yung mga requirements or hindi mo nagawa yung mga features na gusto ng customer, of course, hindi niya yan kukunin, hindi niya yan babayaran. So, that is the most important thing that we need to consider, no? Customer satisfaction. Hence, the prototype helps the client to visualize the proposed system and increase the understanding of the requirements. So, when the developers and users are not sure about some of the elements, a prototype may help both the parties to take a final decision. Kasi nga, it is a two-way process between the developers and the client or the users. So, some projects are developed for the general market. In such cases, the prototype should be shown to some representative sample of the population of potential purchasers. Even though a person who tries out a prototype may not buy the final system. O, ito na yung sinasabi ko, may not buy, no, the final system, lalo na pag hindi mo naman nasunod yung mga requirements nila. But their feedback may allow us to make the product more attractive to others. So the prototype should be built quickly and at a relatively low cost. So hence, it will always have limitations and would not be acceptable in the final system. This is an optional activity. Okay, kung alam niyo yung mga nasa mall na merong mga maliliit na house, for example, yung Camellia, ayan, yung mga Avida, meron sa mga mall, naglalagay sila ng mga prototype or yung mga model, miniature ng mga bahay para makita ng mga clients kung ano yung magiging itsura ng bahay na pwede nilang bilhin. Kung ano yung magiging itsura ng loob ng bahay, kung gaano yung design niya. Okay, so that is also a good strategy para makahikayat yung mga agents na makabenta ng bahay na binebenta po nila. That is also a good strategy, no, para makahikayat pa ng other people to create a particular or to buy a particular product or to try them later on. So ayun yung pinaka essence po ng prototyping, pero sabi nga niya, it is an optional activity. Okay, there are different types or there are types of prototyping. We have two, no, that I'm going to discuss. So the first one is throwaway prototyping. Ayan, throwaway. Meron tayong term na throwaway. Itapon mo na. Ayan, parang ganon. Okay, throwaway or rapid prototyping, ito yung other term niya, refers to the creation of a model that will eventually be discarded rather than becoming part of the final delivered software. Pag sinabi nating discarded, ayan, yung parang inechapwera. Ayan, i-echapwera mo later on. Hindi mo rin lang naman gagamitin yun later on. This is just from the word rapid, no? Rapid, yung pangmabilisan lang na prototype. Ipapakita mo lang kung ano yung magiging itsura, pero later on, hindi mo naman na siya gagamitin. Thus, the term throwaway. Ayan. Rather than becoming part of the final delivered software, hindi po. I-discard mo or i-disregard mo siya later on. Yan, napakasaklap naman, di ba? Ito throw away mo na lang siya pagkatapos mo siyang ginamit. So when this goal has been achieved, the prototype model is thrown away. Ayan, itatapon mo na. And the system is formally developed based on the identified requirements. Okay, so that is under the throwaway prototyping. So this is an example, no, of a throwaway prototyping. It started with the planning, initial analysis, dummy prototype, and then dito siya dummy, prototype, and implementation, and then system. Okay, so we have 2 points here, no? The prototype only used as a demonstration of product requirements. Ayan, kaya pala sinabi niyang dummy prototype kasi ide-demonstrate niya lang yung magiging requirements ng product mo, and then itatapon mo na siya or di-disregard mo na siya after mong i-demonstrate. And then finished software is engineered using another paradigm. Yan, parang backup lang siya, no? Hindi mo siya talagang gagamitin. Parang nandun lang siya as a display. Pagkatapos mo siyang ginamit, itatapon mo na siya. So that is the essence of the throwaway prototyping. Okay, and then the next one is evolutionary prototyping. Okay, so the evolutionary prototyping is a software development method where the developer or development team first conducts a prototype. So after receiving initial feedback, after receiving the initial feedback from the customer, the subsequent prototypes are produced. So, kailangan mo munang mag-data gathering, no? Kailangan mo munang alamin yung mga feedback ng mga customer mo bago ka magpatayo ng iyong prototype. So, yan yung, or gumawa ng iyong prototype. Yan po yung sinasabi na evolutionary rapid prototyping. This is not the same with the first one, ha? Kasi yung isa rapid prototyping lang. Pero ito meron tayong term na evolutionary. So, each with additional functionality or improvements until the product emerges. So, sabi niya dito, ulitin ko lang, after receiving initial feedback from the customer, subsequent prototypes are produced and each with additional functionality. Meron tayong term na additional functionality or improvements. Ayan. Until the final product emerges. So, habang nagpo-progress yung ating pagde-develop ng system, yung prototype nagpo-progress din siya. Unlike yung isa, after na magamit, itatapon mo. Hindi po. Ito, parang it is a continuous process. There is a continuous improvement. Okay, so this prototype scheme differs from the rapid or throwaway prototyping. In what case? Yan. In that, the developer begins the best understood requirements. Whereas in rapid prototyping, the developer implements the least understood requirements. Ayan. Ito yung pagkakaiba nila. Ayan. Pag sinabi nating evolutionary, no, it begins with the best understood requirements, and then yung rapid prototyping or yung throwaway ay nandun sa least understood requirements. Furthermore, the first prototype need not be built quickly. Ayan. So, okay lang daw kahit hindi siya ma-develop ng mabilis. Yan po yung sinasabi niya. Yung first prototype natin, yung throwaway prototype natin. Note that evolutionary prototyping is similar to incremental development. Pag sinabi nating incremental, nag-i-increase, no? Nag-i-improve. Yan po yung ibig sabihin niya. So, similar daw sila doon. In that parts of the system may be inspected or delivered to the customer throughout the software lifecycle model. So, we have here a point. Sabi niya, prototype is refined to build the finished system. So, here, after mo magamit dito sa throwaway, okay na, tapos na. Pero itong evolutionary rapid typing, hindi po. Kung ano yung create mo or kung ano yung prototype na ginawa mo dito, yun yung i-refine mo, yun yung i-improve mo para makapag-produce ka ng final output or ng finished system. I hope na naiintindihan po natin yun. Okay, and then number 3, we also have the model requirements. So, I think this will be the last. Okay, so model requirements, this process usually consists of various graphical representations, of the functions, the data entities, external entities, and relationships between them. Later on, pag nag-create kayo ng documentation nyo, doon sa system na i-develop ninyo pag kayo ay 4th year na, or yung capstone project or yung thesis project ninyo, doon sa documentation nyo, kailangan nyo ng mga graphical representations later on. Ano yung mga i-represent mo? Yung mga data, yung mga architecture, na ginamit mo sa pag-build ng inyong system. Lahat ng yon ilalagay ninyo sa documentation ninyo. And then you can also put the data flow diagram, entity relationship diagram. Lahat ng yon ilalagay ninyo sa documentation ninyo para makita nila later on kung paano nyo binild yung proposed system ninyo or kung paano nyo binild yung developed system ninyo. So, the graphical view may help to find incorrect, inconsistent, missing, and superfluous requirements. Ito pala yung other ways pa or other reason why we need the graphical representations or the graphical view para daw mas mabilis nating mahanap yung mga mali, yung mga hindi consistent, at yung nawawalang mga requirements. So, such models include, ito yung mga models na pwede nating magamit. Data flow diagram, ERD or the entity relationship diagram, data dictionaries, and state transition diagrams. So, we have the different types of model here na pwede nating gamitin, okay, with their visual representation. The first one is the data model, which shows relationships among system objects. This is an example of a data model. As you can see, we have squares here, no? And then, sa loob niya, yung mga data niya dito, nandito yung mga different constraints or yung mga entities. Ayan, yung mga, for example, we have the tables. Etong mga square kasi, nagre-represent niyan doon sa database. Sa isang database, meron siyang maraming tables. At itong mga square dito ay ang mga tables. Meron tayong mga foreign key, meron tayong mga primary key. And as you can see, meron silang mga connections. Yung mga connections dito, these are the relationship, no? Yung relationship nila sa isa't isa. Yung relationship ng mga tables sa isa't isa. Kung paano sila nakakonect sa isa't isa. So, pagpalagay natin na this is a database. Ayan, sa isang database or yung database na gagamitin natin sa ating system. So, sabi niya dito, shows relationships among system objects. Ito yung mga data na i-manipulate natin later on. For example, yung table na parties. Under table na parties, meron tayong party ID, and then party type, code na foreign key, and then party details. Yan po yung mga nasa loob ng table na parties. Nandiyan yung mga different entities niya, or we can say mga different datas. Ayan. And then, dito naman sa table na addresses, meron din siyang mga different details na nakalagay. Just like address ID, ayan, we also have city, town, other details. And as you can see, meron silang connection. And then, dito meron tayong nakikitang connection dito na many to many. Many to many yung connection nila. Dito naman sa isa, meron tayong mandatory one or one. And then dito sa isa, optional many. Okay, so yun yung mga relationship nila. Data models, meaning yung mga data natin, there are relationship between them. Okay, thus meron tayong foreign key and primary key. And so you will create later on a data model para makita namin kung ano yung connection ng mga different tables or yung mga different data na ginamit niyo sa system ninyo. Okay, the second one is the functional model. Ito namang functional model, this is just the description of the functions that enable the transformations of system objects. As you can see, ayan, so makikita nyo dito yung different functions. No, you already know the functional requirements and non-functional requirements. So magfo-focus tayo sa functions. Ayan, for example ng mga functions, the system will be able to create order. Ito yung mga nasa circle, approve order, expedite order. Yan yung mga different functions niya. And as you can see, meron din tayong mga rectangle. Ito nagre-represent ng mga tao, yung mga stakeholders na gagamit or gagamit doon sa system natin or magfa-function doon sa system natin. So, for example, here we have the purchasing officer, purchaser, expedite order under purchaser tool, and then vendor. Ayan yung mga tao na importante sa paggamit ng system or na mag-a-affect doon sa function ng ating system. So, as you can see, nandito rin yung mga arrows niya. Ayan, for example, this one, under approve order, yan, nakakonect yung purchaser 1, and then meron siyang arrow papunta sa approve order. So, yung purchaser 1 daw, ma-approve yung kanyang purchase dito sa functional or sa function na to, approve order. Yan. So, yung purchaser natin, ma-approve yung order niya, and then there will be an approval. Yan, there is a two-way communication between the order and then the approval of the order. And then, meron din tayong status. Ayan, expedite order. And then, they are all connected or interconnected with the different entities here. So, this is an example of a simple example of a functional model. Lahat ng mga tao, yan connected doon sa mga functions ng ating system. At kung titignan natin, lahat ay connected doon sa term na order or doon sa product natin. Okay? So, proceed tayo dito sa pinakahuli, behavioral model. It is a manner in which software responds to events from the outside world. Yan, I already explained to you the behavioral feasibility where every stakeholders or every users of the system will be given equal opportunity to express their opinions or their thoughts, no? So, dito sa behavioral order naman, makikita natin kung paano yung pagre-respond ng software doon sa real-life setting. Yan, outside world or real-life setting. Paano kayong behavior niya? For example, this one, ayan, the system have received an order and then the order will be reviewed, and then dito naman, if the order, there is a decision. Ayan, ito yung yung mga different symbols na ginagamit dito. Actually, this is also the same or somewhat the same with entity relationship diagram. Kasi tignan ninyo, this is a symbol for process. And then, ito, yung circle dito is start. Dito sa next is end. Ito. So, ang circle kasi sa entity relationship diagram is a representation, a shape representation for start and end. So, dito tayo mag-i-start sa part na ito. Dito tayo mag-start and ito yung ending niya. And then yung oblong dito is a visual representation of a process. Tapos itong diamond dito is a decision. Ano yung decision? Whether yes or no. Anong mangyayari pag nag-yes? Anong mangyayari pag no? Ito po yung content ng ating behavioral model. Yun yung parang ano na yung magiging function na mismo ng system pag dineploy na natin siya sa outside world or real life setting. Sa talagang setting na niya, sa runtime setting na niya. Okay, so let's start here. The participant or the client will have an order. So, mare-receive ngayon yung order. Okay, yung system, i-receive na yung order. And then, yung order ay mai-review. And then, if the order is not okay, of course, you need to fix the order. Ayan yung ano niya, yung decision niya. If yes, yan. If okay, or if not okay, you need to fix the order. If the order is okay, pupunta na siya dito sa baba, masiship yung order natin. Uunahin muna natin yung order not okay. So, na-receive na niya yung order niya, no? And then, na-review niya na yung order. Pero yung order natin, hindi siya okay. Siguro nagka-problema. Of course, you need to fix the order. Ayan. And then, pupunta siya dito sa baba. Sabi niya, order not fixed. If the order is not fixed, the option na gagawin ng system is to, or yung gagawin ng participant is to cancel the order. And after the cancellation of order, magi-stop na yung process. Pero, pag yung order natin na fix natin, yan, pupunta siya dito, order fix, of course, you need to ship yung in order. Ship order, and after that, after ma-ship, mag-end na yung process. Okay, so dito naman sa review order, sabi niya, review order order okay, diretso na siya sa ship order, and then mag-e-end na siya. So, yan yung isang example or simple example ng ating behavioral model. It's very simple, no? Ipapakita mo lang kung paano yung process or yung entity relationship diagram nung system or nung process nung business natin. Okay, so that is behavioral model. So those are the three types, no, ng ating model under the model under knowing the model requirements. So tatlo yung pwede nating magamit: data model, functional model, and behavioral model. Okay, so lastly, ito na yung last step. You need to finalize the requirements. So after modeling the requirements, we will have a better understanding of the system behavior. The inconsistencies and ambiguities have been identified and corrected. So, it is very important to have these models para malaman natin kung ano yung mga mali, kung ano yung mga missing, yung mga inconsistencies ng ating mga requirements. So, the flow of data amongst various modules has been analyzed. Ayan, na-analyze na yung mga requirements natin. Elicitation, pag sinabi natin elicitation, parang data gathering ito. And analyze activities have provided better insight in the system. Now, we finalize the analyzed requirements, and the next step is to document these requirements in prescribed format. Ano ba yung prescribed format natin? Yan na yung yung specification document natin. Okay, so yun na yung gagamitin natin. So that will be the final step, yung finalization of the particular requirements. Sabi niya, now we finalize the analyze requirements, and the next step is to document. Actually, para saan ba tong document dito, or yung documentation? In order for us to have an organized, clear understanding or clear reports or records doon sa lahat ng mga requirements na inanalyze natin. Kasi later on, we are going to interpret all of the requirements. After interpretation, doon na papasok yung development. Doon na tayo mag-create ng ating system. Okay, so that I think that is the final. So let's just review the different steps. No, we have number 1, you're going to draw the context diagram. Number 2, development of a prototype, which is also optional. Number 3, we are going to model the requirements. And number 4 is finalizing the requirements. So that is the content of our topic 2, which is all about the system requirements analysis. We are still on the requirements phase. Wala pa tayo doon sa development. Ayan, nasa requirements muna yung focus natin. Okay, I hope na bigyan natin ng justice or na-target natin itong learning objective, which is to understand the different steps in requirement analysis. So if you have any problem, if you have any questions, and if you need any clarifications with this topic, do not hesitate to ask me, and I will try my best to answer them. I hope you learned something new today, and thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Good day and God bless.